One of our members shot through a great message on Instagram last week highlighting, or maybe complaining as a Parramatta Eels fan, about how Penrith consistently slow down and win the ruck each week. It's a great example of one of the little one percenters that we always hear players talking about, and it's a key part of Penrith's defensive success over the last few years. They didn't get the win in NRL round 17, but Penrith dominated field position against the Cowboys thanks to these little one percenters around the ruck. You can see Braden Burns here take a carry out of yardage. James Fisher-Harris hits him high and holds him. Waits for two other Penrith middles to get involved in the tackle, one around the ribs and the other one wrapping out the ball. Generally, you'd see a guy come around the legs here as well, but there's so much weight on Braden Burns as the ball carrier here. Pungo doesn't need to get involved as the foreman, and Penrith put him on his back. You can see the amount of time Braden takes to get up and play the ball. He's got a bit of an injury here, but the principle's the same. Dominate the early tackles and slow the momentum of their opposition working out of their own end. When a Panther does put on a big shot, it's rarely one out, and you'll see the teammates around him work really hard to get involved in the tackle as well and add to the time that the ball carrier spends on the ground. You can see Griffin Neame gets dropped back against the grain here for the Cowboys, and Lindsay Smith jams him with a great shot around the ribs, dropping him to the ground. If Lindsay Smith had been left alone to complete this tackle, Griffin Neame rolls, finds his front, and gets the ball pretty quickly. You can see Smith's basically fallen off his legs here by the time Griffin's hit the ground. But because James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Kenny in there by the looks as well get involved over the top, fall on Griffin Neame as he falls to the ground. It's not a flop because they're already involved in the tackle. And it takes Griffin a lot longer. He has to fight to get to his feet. You can see Lindsay Smith's already retreating back into the line before Griffin Neame even gets to his feet. And Penrith comfortably win this tackle before a fifth tackle kick. In comparison, we saw a few Cowboys defenders pull off a couple of big hits in this one, but they weren't hitting and sticking, which allowed the Penrith ball carrier to find his front and play the ball quickly. This time, it's Helam Lukey who comes up with a big shot. Bang, hits Eisenhuth, but doesn't wrap him up. It means Eisenhuth drops very quickly to the ground, finds his elbows and knees. You can see the ruck speed that generates. He gets a quick play the ball, which allows Fisher-Harris to go on the back of him. Up against a big body and under a bit of fatigue. Helam doesn't stick on that tackle as well. Fisher-Harris finds his front. Another scoot from Mitch Kenny. And then you see Jack Cole winning a nice quick play the ball to kick on fifth with almost no pressure. That's a textbook set from the Panthers. And a good example of how that first initial contact looks good on the highlights, but unless you're hitting and sticking and slowing the play the ball down, it can actually be advantage to the attacking team. Another little detail you might notice in Penrith's defence is their ability to consistently get dual contact into the tackle. And that helps to slow down the momentum of the ball carrier. They don't concede as many post-contact meters. And most importantly, they're holding him up and waiting for that third man to come in and help with the tackle. You can see over the weekend, the Cowboys showed us what happens when those extra defenders don't work really hard to get involved in the tackle. You can see Leotti here wins first contact, gets his way in between Griffin Neame and Helam Lukey. It looks like Lukey might have copped a little knock to the face here, but regardless, there's a lot of Cowboys defenders around the tackle. None of them lend a hand on Griffin Neame here, which allows the young Penrith Panthers forward to bust out of that tackle and force more Cowboys defenders into more work while they retreat. The flow-on effect of that is evident throughout the set. You can see Penrith get quick play the ball there. Isaiah Yeo carries the ball over the advantage line. Again, picks out a single defender rather than having to deal with dual contact. Force more Cowboys defenders into the tackle. Suddenly they've made twice as many defensive efforts as they needed to in the last two plays. And again, Penrith get a fairly pressure-free kick on the last for young Jack Cole. It's not to say Penrith always get it right though. You can see them dual contact here and three men into the tackle. As Christian Welsh keeps driving the legs, not one of those three Penrith defenders drops to wrap up the legs, which allows Christian not only to generate post-contact meters, but he also keeps his feet, which wins a quicker play the ball by the time the tackle is released. You can see there's still one Penrith defender working his way back on side. His back is turned. He's got no involvement in this play, which is not a look we see from the Panthers very often. And it allows Jerome Hughes to get two passes wide of the ruck and into a very dangerous situation out on the edge here with what's effectively a 5-on-3. It's only a really good effort from Penrith's middle Luke Garner there and Jerome Luai able to wrap up the tackle. But a good example of how that little 1% of staying high or dropping and wrapping up the legs can have a flow-on effect, a few tackles or the following tackle later. It's not always as exciting to watch out for these little defensive details rather than concentrating on where the ball's going in attack. But if you want to get a better idea of how your team is defending in the ruck, then these little 1%ers are often the difference. Head over to rugbyleaguewriters.com. For just $5 a month, you get all this analysis direct to your inbox each week. See you guys next week.